Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law with our friend Nate the lawyer. Hooray!
Come on,
Nate's here.
everybody.
Nate's here.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a wonderful day. It is my birthday. Let me party like it's my birthday because it's actually my birthday.
Happy
like it's my
birthday, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
So what is this? What number is this?
4-0, baby. 4-0 today. Yay.
It's funny. My friend just bought like a what is it called? A Porsche.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, but he's like 42, and I'm like, why'd you buy a Porsche? And he's like, and I'm like, are you having a midlife crisis? Because they say you midlife crisis. He said, no, I just never could afford a Porsche before today. So today I bought a Porsche. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
he was poor.
I never quite understood the concept of a midlife crisis because the midlife crisis is always the guy buying this exotic thing. It's like he's finally at a point when he can. Yeah. So, never quite got it as a concept. But yeah, we are here with our law catch-up hour, and we're here with T because we have a declaration from Lorianne, which we will get to eventually if you're good. Tease you a little bit. Yeah, we got a new declaration from Lorianne who'd like to comment on her thoughts when Toddy said, apologize, when KJ said, I do not consider Lorianne my best friend. I do not consider her to be a friend at all. Lorianne would have some thoughts she'd like to share in relation to that. So we'll get to that. That'll be fun.
Let's just understand. Katie's ride or die. Katie's blood brother is putting in affidavits for Toddy.
I guess she's chosen death then because she's no longer riding. She's riding for the other team. She switched sides, man.
This is Sammy the both Gravano.
They be hating. Yeah, exactly. This is all great stuff. But I figure we can talk about other things that are happening in law. And let's start with the U.S. attorney and the FBI having like the most complicated criminal case basically ever. Because they said that they have 1,200 suspects right now. That sounds about right. And they've charged some of these people, and there's only some charges that are currently outstanding, and more is going to come. And the U.S. attorney says we're looking at everything from simple trespass to, theft, to
everybody,
Congress, to sedition. We're looking at all the things. I did a thing on my stream where I went through the U.S. code. I'm like, here are some of the prizes are contested. It's not good. It's not good, Les. Yeah. So,
but you know what though?
Yeah.
Even though I think it's everybody who went inside is going to be prosecuted, right? You're on a high definition video, and now family members are turning. Like there was a girl this morning who turned in her mom. You know what I'm saying? She's like, "Oh, that's my mom," and put it on the thing.
I saw that too. Turned him into the FBI.
They uncaught both the guys with the damn what's it called with the zip ties. Yeah, both of them is caught. They're looking for the guy with the with the pipe bomb guy. They should get
guys going down for attempted kidnapping. That should be fun.
Of course.
Pipe bomb could be weapon of mass destruction. That should be fun.
No, but pipe bomb makes it. Well, pipe bomb and zip tie guys, armed zip tie guys, make this domestic terrorism. That's just the definition of it.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's domestic. They're domestic terrorists. They're going away for life in prison. Yeah, they're hoping not to get the death penalty with that.
No one actually died, so they can't get the death penalty. So lucky them.
No. If you get it's only treason, right?
I think
there are a couple of crimes that you can get the death penalty for without actually killing somebody.
Yeah, treason. I think it might be it.
Treason might be it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they're looking at life in prison at a minimum. Zip ties
at a minimum. Which when this is your minimum, it's not going well. It's like here's your choice of federal facilities.
It's one of those situations
where which federal facility will you be? Will it be ADX Florence, or will it be Terre Haute, Indiana, or will it be some other place with an SD a shoe? Yeah,
but they gotta give him some deal. They gotta give him some deal because life in prison is just like there's no reason. a trial. It's like why are we gonna have a trial? You're on video. You got zip ties. What the hell you doing here?
It's a pretty easy criminal case. I'm basically there as a U.S. attorney. I just play the tape and I'm be like,
case dismissed.
It's like, yeah, I'm done. I got my. There's 30 seconds of video. Take a look at the video. Now take a look at the defendant. Now take a look at the video. Now take a look at the defendant. I'm done. It's like easy. That's easy. Yeah, some of these people are going down for some serious time. Serious time. And the U.S. attorney, and I like the statement from the U.S. attorney, is like, this is one of the most complicated criminal cases we've ever seen because we got 1,200 potential suspects with every possible crime basically known to man. It's like we don't even begin to know where to start because of all the things. It's like, I'm available just incidentally. I'd like this job. So if you need an assistant at the U.S. attorney's office in D.C., I'd be more than happy to help. And I'd be more than happy as a conservative Republican to show them that we are, in fact, the party of law and order.
Yeah.
I'll show them the law and order the whole time.
These aren't like charges, though, bro. These are heavy charges. These are charges that put people away for the rest of the pipe bomb guy. He should go for life. Obviously those are pipe bombs.
Oh yeah, the pipe bomb guy go for life. Anyone who beat up the cop who died goes down for life, and they could
let's not
potentially for the murder.
And well, you don't forget you got a lot of felony murder out there too. If it's a crowd of people, now you're talking about felony murder for the people who are around them, who assisted them to get there and all that stuff. You could
for the police officer that shot the woman. Everyone who was there, we could potentially charge with felony murder, depending on if we feel it that day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the charges have no end. It's like theft of property, theft of mail, theft of computer equipment, stealing of national security information potentially. It's like the list has no, breaking the Capitol, even climbing the walls is illegal. It's like, we're the party of law and order. We're going to show you how much law and order there is. Be like, no, it's not fair. I just had a slight mistake in my life. Show mercy on me. No. No.
But the thing is that what about the argument that the Capitol Police got warnings from the NYPD, warnings from the FBI, the news media showed them like, here are the plans. Somebody's planning to do this, They're going to go through the tunnel system. This is what they're going to do. They said they're going to storm the Capitol. Here are the plans. This is what we're going to do. Capitol Police looked at it and said they were fantasy thought experiments. And they come day of, they followed through with the plan.
The Capitol
Who's to blame?
Well, no. I mean, they're the people who did the bad things are to blame. It's like if I leave my door to my home wide open in a bad crime neighborhood, that does not allow you to come in and steal my shit.
But hold on.
You're blaming the victim.
Let's say no. But there is a situation in which, let's say, the insurance company says, well, we're going to protect all your valuables, and then you do that same thing. Somebody says, I'm coming to your house, I'm coming to steal this at this time at this place, and I'm coming to take all your valuables, and you walk out the house knowing that they're coming. That's what I think. That also is a situation where
they're so responsible. Even if they tell me in advance I'm coming to steal your stuff, and even if I leave the door open, they're still responsible for the stealing.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. They are responsible for the stealing, but I'm talking about the responsibility of the person who then allows it to happen, because it's not like you didn't do anything to prevent it when it was obviously preventable. That's what I'm talking about.
If you want to like fire some of the police officers for dereliction of duty or something like that, then okay. I mean, I'm about that possibly, but it in no way absolves the people who did the bad things.
No, of course not. Of course not.
If there was one police officer there and they opened, they were completely inept, it's like, well, you still did all these criminal things. You don't blame the victim.
No. Two things. I don't think the one thing that is happening here is, unfortunately, I believe this whole event could have been prevented, because unfortunately, I think what happens is the Capitol Police, whoever's running it, was just maybe inept. And don't get me wrong, I assume the blame to those who actually did the guy who laid the pipe bomb should go to jail for life. The guys who did those should go to jail. But I believe that there is responsibility to go around to the Capitol Police, because They only got that far and that close and did exactly what they were able to do is because of the feelings of the Capitol Police, who knew they were coming. So we pay them to protect us to deal with these type of threats, and if knowing something like this is coming, to be prepared, and they weren't prepared. So there is a point where, yeah, these people are criminally liable, but I also think there's a liability to go on the Capitol Police, who could have stopped all this, and now, unfortunately, it's we're at this point when the only thing, the failing of this thing was just preparation, unfortunately.
Well, I have no problem saying the Capitol Police screwed up, that there should have been more protection there, and they didn't do a sufficient job. That's fine. We can investigate what happened on the Capitol Police end and why things were not more well secured, but that in zero way impacts any of the criminal charges of any of these people who committed many, many crimes. Like, again, even if you know that bad things are going to happen, and even if you leave the doors unlocked, it's like, it's still a crime. So, what does it matter? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I do think there's still crimes, but I think, like, let's say, that's why I was bringing up the issue of insurance or something like that, where, there's a reasonable expectation that you're going to mitigate risk, and if there's a risk and you don't mitigate for it, then, there could be an issue. But I think in this particular case, the head of the Capitol Police resigned, the head of, the director of, what is it called, Homeland Security, the Secretary of Homeland Security side, and like the House Sergeant of Arms and the Senate Sergeant of Arms, they both resigned. They all resigned. Everybody's in charge of security.
Yeah, everyone resigned, which is
so
fitting because they completely screwed the pooch. So I mean, it's the least of the absolutely.
Yeah, but it was a totally I think it was a totally preventable event. And unfortunately, it's just sad because I think, their incompetence has led us to this point where now, people are at their throats, because this could have been prevented. This was simple to prevent, just have more people there. You have more people there. You people there now. Like a Black Lives Matter rally.
National Guard sleeping inside the Capitol right now.
Yeah, so but you staff it as a Black Lives Matter rally. That's what I say. You know what I'm saying? Like they did with this, there you go. No problem.
Yeah. I don't know what happened or what went wrong, and I'm happy to investigate that. And all these people should be prosecuted, and that'll make me feel a lot better for sure. But let's move on from the 1,200 people who are currently facing federal jail time in their new "This is the worst prize ever" competition.
Hold on, hold on. But before you move on, what about the fact now that they found that there were 3 congressmen who were giving some of the people tours the day before, and who were seen the day of, helping direct people outside around the Capitol building?
I don't know anything about that. This is the first I'm hearing of it, so I couldn't really comment on it.
Okay.
For the first time, so you'll have to forgive me on that one.
All right, no, forget about it.
Yeah. But let's move on to Dominion Voting suing Sidney Powell. The Kraken has been found, as it turns out the Kraken was inside Sidney Powell the whole time. Yeah, so Dominion Voting has sued Sidney for defamation, for saying their voting systems are bad and hackable and fraudulent and all the rest of it. And yeah, I covered it on my own stream, and I don't think it's going well. Now, here's the thing, and Nate has pointed this out too. Even if Dominion itself is not a public company or public figure, to put it more properly, if they're not a public figure, it's a matter of public concern. So that means I think we're well into having to find the actual malice standard for a public figure, because even if they're not public figure, it's public concern, and that's
political too.
Yeah, it's political too. So we have to find actual malice. So actual malice is that it's false, or you basically, essentially, you recklessly disregard the truth, that you had enough clues that it wasn't true, and you persisted on. And Nate has pointed out this is a tough standard to meet, and I agree, it's a very tough standard to meet. Nick Riccietta has pointed out it's a tough standard to meet. I agree it's a tough standard to meet. However, in my judgment at this time, I think we're there, because they went on through many, many pages of explanation of all the many things, and how she knew, and how various people told her it was false, and how she pressed on ever still. So that's what I think. But what do you think, Nate?
I think Sidney Powell's done. Voting machines made in Venezuela, wrong. company was founded in Venezuela. Wrong. You know, it's like all these provable wrong things they had back to back to back to back, and it's just like, you know, then forged documents. Here's a certificate. She forged it. She said it didn't have a date. Here's the one that has the date. It's right there on the website. Here's the affidavits from the two witnesses. They read exactly the same, meaning the same person wrote them both. It's like the guy's an expert in the military, but he's never been to the military. But like, it was crazy shit. It was easy. So if you're talking about just blatant disregard for the truth,
yep,
there's no way that you can say that I think they got it. I think they got it, and I think this is some of the most protected speech that we have. Think about what we're saying here. This is not just actual mouth. This is actual mouth on steroids. This is political speech. She's talking about political speech.
Political speech. We're at the very top of the free speech pyramid. We're as high as we can go on the free speech pyramid on strict scrutiny. So we're in a political speech context trying to find actual mouths to the truth. We're about as elevated as is theoretically possible to conceive.
And you're saying it's still good. This is almost impossible to me.
I still think we're there. Yeah.
I think we're there too. Did she know those witnesses were false?
The thing
sounds like she did.
It's like, it's not only, maybe she didn't know at the very start. That's possible. But what Dominion did so excellently in their complaint was they showed how she continued to persist on and on and on.
After it was clear what the truth was.
Contrary evidence, even as she got hand counts from Georgia, even as they were able to show these things, she just continued to double down, continue to say things. They did yeoman's work in finding like all these interviews she did, all these tweets that she did.
They did.
They just did
everything.
They spent probably $50,000 to $100,000 on the complaint.
Yeah, they went through everything.
They found all the documents. They went and found them. They transcribed them from all the news media, all the things that she did, and put it out on a timeline. And how she should have known here, but she persisted on. She should have known here, but still persisted on. She should have known here. And it's just like, I don't know. The only thing I can think of that Sidney Powell has going for her at all is some sort of litigation privilege defense, and even that's not going to work.
But most of that wasn't even that.
I know.
Most of that wasn't even that.
Yeah, it's not going to. Yeah, even litigation privilege is not going to be sufficient. The litigation privilege carries you for things that you did in litigation, but by the end, she was bringing things that were on their face completely frivolous about the accumulation of knowledge. And so I don't think she can hide behind litigation privilege. She'll try, but she's going to lose.
Well, I say this. Her law license is probably done.
Yeah.
Right? Her law license is going to be done. She's not going to be able. She shouldn't be. She probably is not going to be able to practice law. I can't say that definitively, but her law license is done. Just like this guy, Linwood, his law license is probably
Linwood is done. Linwood is done. Yeah. I think calling him disbarred is a little unfair, but his pro hoc vice was revoked in Delaware.
Yes. All right. Yeah. His pro hoc vice in, but even that though, because then you got to report that to the state bar in Delaware.
Yeah. Oh no,
Delaware and Georgia.
That will get reported as states. That will start an investigation.
It should report, because don't forget he's
one's license is done. It's not going to happen for like a year or a year and a half, but it will happen.
You think Linwood's license is? Wow.
I think Sidney Powell was done.
I think
maybe it will be out and out disbarred. Maybe they'll be suspended for like more than a year with leave to represent. But that's basically the same thing in this context.
What about Giuliani?
I don't know. I think Giuliani might be able to skate by. I don't think he quite went as far as Linwood or as Sidney Powell. I think he might be able to skate by.
I know
that the New York Voluntary Association, which I want to call the Bar Association, but I'm not sure what their formal name is. It's voluntary. They want to kick him out of the voluntary club. It doesn't come with any collateral consequences, though, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, except it's a bit of embarrassment.
This is it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to continue to practice. I think maybe Giuliani, the New York City bar has already asked for him to be removed because of the stuff that he was doing around the country, which is tough. But I still think I really think Sidney Powell. I think this destroys her law license, because don't forget, you had the frivolous cases alone. I think get you enough, right? The frivolous case is enough. So it's like one thing that this has shown me about, you know, these lawyers in their frivolous cases, because when I first led Lynn Wood's thing from Delaware, and then I was, you know, looking at Sidney Powell stuff, these people were submitting false affidavits. These people were, you know, were submitting cases that the plaintiff wasn't harmed, they had no standing, like, you know, the frivolous cases. And when you do all this, to hear, like, you know, there were some of us in our circles were saying this is all political. This is, you know, but this is not political. If you're submitting false affidavits to the court, and they bring you up on it, that's not political. So it just seemed, I think our own little group maybe got too political with this too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I'm of the opinion personally, and I don't know how you feel about this on your end, and feel free to comment. But I'm of the opinion that in the early parts of this litigation with respect to the election, so from election day for some period of time, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, that I'm willing to give the attorneys a lot of slack because the time periods are so condensed. So what constitutes a diligent duty for the lawyer? What constitutes, you know, what that means has to be interpreted in light of the reality. So when they were filing a bit of garbage initially, I wasn't bothered by it on an ethics level because the time periods are so condensed. We're asking for the courts to act so fast that we have to act basically on the shoot from the hip.
You're going to make mistakes.
It's like, yeah, you make mistakes and you kind of throw in everything at the wall. So personally, I was willing to give them a lot of slack at the start because although the ethics rules are the same, how they have to be interpreted should be interpreted based on time pressures that are just there because of the reality.
And that makes sense.
But as things went on, at some point along the way, especially the way Dominion told the story, because I thought they told the story very well. They got every penny they paid for that expensive complaint. But the way they told the story is like at some point on that trail, I can't tell you exactly where, but some point on that trail, they lost me. It's like it's like the 10th time that they just went on and on and on and on. It's like 25, 30 things. It's like by the time I hit the 15th thing, I'm like, yeah, I hit my limit of tolerance on this.
But you know, I think people have to understand. Dominion then sent Sidney Powell all the evidence that everything she's saying was false. They were like, here's everything, right? And didn't even ask for retraction, right? They just told her to stop saying it.
Yeah, they sent her went on. Told him to go to hell. So it's like that's not great.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know how much Sidney Powell has, but they're going to take every dime that she has. They're after her and her firm and her non-for-profit. They're going to take every dime she has. She'll be left with the clothes on her back, and that's about it.
Yeah, so that should be done.
They're going to get a huge judgment. They'll get a writ of attachment. They're going to send the sheriff to her house. They're going to take everything out. They'll put it up for auction just for the hell of it.
But how stupid is this woman? Yeah. How dumb is this woman? I don't know, because you don't forget, we've seen Sidney Powell write some great stuff. Like, I love the stuff she did with Flynn.
Yeah, I'm convinced
how could she be this done?
I'm convinced she conned herself. I'm convinced that she told a lie, and she knew it was a lie when she said it. And at some point along the way, she convinced herself it was true. That's what I think happened.
This makes me question all her Flynn stuff. This makes me question the Flynn stuff. It just makes me think that maybe I was just reading what I wanted to read. Maybe I was just reading what I wanted to read.
I mean, we both cover the Flynn stuff to death, and we both think that. I mean, I still continue to think that Flynn got railroaded, which has nothing to do with Sidney Powell or representation. But the whole thing,
it's more with the Rafikian stuff. That's true, because Rafikian got off, and that's all they had really on Flynn. That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So I have no problem with that. So we have anything else that we want to cover before we move to tea hour?
The impeachment. We covered impeachment, right?
Yeah, well, we do need to talk about the impeachment. So our friends at the U.S. House have formally impeached Donald Trump for the second time today. This is the only president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. And as far as I can tell from the relevant case law, he can be tried after he leaves office. Presumably, that would extend to disqualifying him for future office and also taking away ancillary benefits such as Secret Service protection and, pension and other things. Probably don't matter that much to Trump because he's wealthy enough to pay for it. But it would be just basically a massive humiliation. So there was some Republican support for that today. A lot of Republicans against. Mitch McConnell has said on the Senate side that he'll vote against, but he won't instruct his caucus how to vote. So, will they be able to get to 2/3?
Well, no, he hasn't said he would vote against. He said he doesn't. He's not sure now.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe I heard he says he's not sure.
Okay, fair enough. I stand corrected. Yeah. So I don't know. Will they be able to? I mean, they have to get to 2/3 in the Senate. That's in the Constitution.
19 Republicans.
Yeah, so they have to get 19. Well, because they're at 50-50 now, right? So they have to get 67. So they have to get 17, right?
17 Republicans. Yeah.
Yeah, 17. So they have to get 17 Republicans. That's unavoidable. It's in the Constitution. Can they get 17 Republicans? Maybe. I mean, they'll definitely get the easy Republicans. They'll definitely get enough. Will they be able to get 6, 7? I don't know. I think the only concerns I have at this point are pragmatic. So I think on the law, I think on the standards that are there, I think he should be expelled. I think I mean,
I just think
I think we're there. And, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. It's one thing too many for me. And I think that I think we're there. So my concerns at this point are pragmatic. It's like, what are the consequences to raising the temperature of the country? What are the consequences to unity? What are the consequences to being able to move this along and move into a harmonious space? So those are my concerns at this point are pragmatic. What is more, is it good? Is it good? Because this is political in nature. It's not legal.
Yeah, it's not a legal. So
that means I can factor in. I mean, I can and should factor in the political repercussions. I mean, it's inherently political in its nature. So should I say, well, yes, we should convict him because he deserves it, or no, we shouldn't convict him because it would just tear the country apart, and there's really no point at this point except to send a message. So I'm a bit divided about that, to be honest.
I don't know. This is interesting because I was surprised that you said you would convict him. Because at this point, it's are we convicting him so he can't run again? Are we convicting him to take away his, I'm removing him from office. That conviction I may be more in line with, but I don't think
any of the penalties really matter. I think he's a complete pariah, really, at this point. I don't think he'll be able to run again in any case. The ancillary benefits are irrelevant. He has enough money to pay for his own security. He has his own planes.
Yeah.
The ancillary benefits are irrelevant. The only reason to do it is for the embarrassment of it, for the political embarrassment. And also some members of the Republican House were suggesting that they should do a censure.
Yeah.
Which as a practical matter would be just as good and also not carry quite the same thing. So that might be an option, but the Democrat House doesn't want to go for it. They want
they were going all the way. Yeah, they're going all the way.
And I totally understand that. I think they have the right to it.
Well, when your lives are in danger, right? And then the president from the riots, they're moving pretty fast now. It's interesting because I don't know. I feel like what Trump did. It was funny because I listened to Legal Eagles thing yesterday about it, and then I went and listened to the whole speech because I'm like, let me listen to the whole speech so I can really understand what he said. And to be honest with you, maybe it's because I'm not a Trump supporter, but I listened to that speech and I'm like, that's the same shit he's always saying, It doesn't invite violence.
Really legal level, I agree with you.
But hold on. Let me.
Level, I don't think it's incitement. I don't think it's incitement. I agree with you.
And then I even heard him say, go down there and march down there peacefully and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, yes, okay. From that speech, I didn't go down there and storm the Capitol. I just didn't. But I will say this though. If the argument is that he said he's built up this powder cake for the past 2 months with lies and saying that he won the election, that there's massive fraud and that it's being stolen and all this. And since this was the last day and now he's saying the same thing at this last speech and he loaded up the gun and pointed in a direction and now he's, you can't say that it went off. That I understand, but that's very tenuous because you got to, you're putting a lot together. I do understand why the Democrats, I do understand the Republicans, but at this point, I think the Republicans who do vote against Trump are being hypocrites because he's been saying this thing for months. This is not like new. Like anything he said in that speech, I can show you a clip of him saying that at the last speech. You know what I'm saying? Except the walk down to the Capitol part. So it's like I really am trying to understand why.
I agree with you that far that there's nothing in this speech that it's exceptional on its own terms. But I think it's precisely the problem that since Election Day, he's been basically saying the whole thing is rigged, it's been stolen, these aren't legitimate, and he's just been casting doubt and doubt and doubt. And from Dominion's lawsuit, among other things, I mean, I've read enough of the lawsuits to know there's nothing there. I look at the facts, and there's nothing there. All of it's shit, Nate. I mean, I'm
actually, I agree with you.
I'm actually conservative, and if I think the Republicans are wrong, I'm like, they're wrong. They're not there. And so I look at this, I'm like, it's all complete crap. It's all shit. None of the evidence makes any sense. And Trump has been just casting doubt and doubt and doubt and doubt and saying these people are stealing the election and all the rest of it. And he's fomenting this impression that's based on lies. And you know what? I don't like my politicians when they're out and out, complete, ongoing liars about something so core especially when it's been revealed that they're lies and they keep going. So
but they're going to argue with you and say it's not lies, though. They're going to argue with you and say, they like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is going to say, I honestly thought this. I thought there was an issue here. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I stood up. And he's going to say, like he always says, hey, I'm not saying that the election is false. I'm just saying we should get an investigation. You know what I'm saying? What do you say to those guys?
Well, if you parse what Ted Cruz was saying, at least the way I parse it, it sounded very politically expedient to me. It's like, here's a way to mollify the right wing without actually doing anything. That's the way I parse the speech. So I'm not even sure Ted Cruz believes it, the way I parse the speech. But, the whole thing is ridiculous.
I think most people aren't going to be like me and you, though. Most people aren't going to read the actual lawsuits. Like, I read the lawsuits, right? I read the lawsuits. And I know the evidence they presented was bullshit.
I read at least half of them.
No, I went through them. I went through
all 63 of them or whatever there were.
I read 60 of them. I didn't read all 60.
That's hardcore. And I think I'm a 30 plus.
I read 60. But I didn't read all the documents. I just read like complaints and some of the motions to dismiss and things of that nature. So I read documents from each one of the 60 lawsuits. I didn't read them all through. And I read the most of them is just the opinions, the final court opinions. So those are the I don't want to make people think I read the complaints and all that shit. No, I read the opinions. And each one of them, some courts just went very, very methodically and said, hey, we looked at the evidence. There's nothing here. These affidavits don't say what you say they said. Sharpie, some of them, the plaintiffs dismissed themselves. And in all of them, there was never anyone that said that there was all this evidence that this was something that was happening. So if people keep saying there's all this evidence, and I'm just saying this personally for my own sake, if you have evidence of election fraud, you take it to the court, right? Because the court is where it's going to say this is good evidence. That's the place they test evidence, This is the place. If you have evidence, you take it there because they know how to evaluate it and whether it's good or not, or whether it says, it leads to the conclusions that you believe it leads to. So if you take it there and they say it's BS, and you keep telling me that you got evidence, then I just don't believe you. Right, because I'm not because the people who evaluate evidence professionally, they do it every day. They're telling you ain't got nothing. What do you want me to believe?
I mean, I agree with you completely. I looked at the evidence in many of these lawsuits, probably not as many of you, 30 plus of them, and the ones I saw were complete crap. The evidence was crap. I looked at the one filed in the Supreme Court; it was crap. There's just nothing there. I mean, I'm more than happy to disagree with courts if I think they're wrong. I've disagreed with courts many times. I disagreed with the Supreme Court many times. I still disagree with the Supreme Court about Wickard and Chevron and Brand X and basically all of administrative law. And, so I have no problem saying if a court is wrong. And I look at them like they're all crap. They're all shit. Nothing's here. And by the way, cheers to my brother Ross, who super chatted me $10 to say happy birthday. Happy birthday to my brother Ross.
Happy birthday, Ross.
I appreciate. No, he's.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Ross. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. That was awesome. So very, very good. Yeah. So I think we should move on to tea. Are you ready for tea hour?
Let's do it. I'm shocked. I don't know. Do your fans know about this tea?
Oh yeah, they know about the tea. I've been covering the tea in extending detail.
We got some explosive tea tonight, people. This is like bomb tea right here.
This is some bomb tea. No, I think this might be the most bomb tea we've seen yet. This might be the most bomb tea because Lorianne was ride or die, and KJ threw her completely under the bus. As we will recall in KJ's declaration, she said, not only do I not consider Lorianne to be my best friend, I don't consider her to be a friend at all. Yeah, that's what KJ said. So
this was her ride or die.
Yeah, no, this was her ride or die. So, like, she threw her all the way under the bus. So, without even reading the declaration, without even reading it, because I haven't, because I want to share my thoughts with you live. Here's what I'm expecting this declaration to say.
What do you expect?
I'm expecting this declaration to say something along the lines of, we communicated multiple times a week.
Of course.
We communicate all the time.
Yes.
We communicated on messaging. Maybe we had some phone calls, some emails, some direct messages. Here's some gifts we exchanged.
Gotta do that.
Here's photos of us together with some heart poses. You know, best friends forever. Here's the chain we exchanged. So I'm expecting this to be just, here is all the ways we are best friends. And yeah, no, you know, yeah. So multiple times a week we talked, all the rest of it. It's just like, here is so much tea. Here is all the tea.
But hold on. I do got to say this though before we get into this. This is some dirty shit, and I'm just going to tell. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. If you's ride or die with me, and we got a little breakup, because you know I'm in a lawsuit, right? I'm in a lawsuit for $100 million or something like that. How much? It was like $5 million, something like that. Whatever it's more than Katie. It's more than Katie ever has, right? It's more than she has or will ever have. We're in that type of lawsuit. You know I'm throwing you under the bus, not because I'm not cool with you, but because I want to win this lawsuit, right? They got me all tied up in Washington with you. Super chat me $5. Me and you cool, but we not besties. You know what I'm saying? We not best friends. We cool. Matter of fact, I really don't even know you too tight. You know what I'm saying? You're using the chat a little bit. So that I'm suspecting that you can take an L on that, Lorianne. Lorianne could have took an L. I'm sorry that Lorianne taking an L on that.
Before I run out of tea, man. That's very sad.
And unless
get more bourbon.
Unless my only issue is that Lorianne couldn't just let this go. She couldn't just say, "Yo, hold on. I know she's trying to."
No. She has some thoughts she'd like to share about her deep ties of friendship and how she feels betrayed. This is a woman scorned, and she is ready to tell you about exactly how scorned she is in a sworn affidavit. She'd like to tell you how scorned she is.
This is crazy, bro. This is crazy. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's go through it.
So let's read the declaration of Lorianne Barnhart. I'm a resident of the state of Washington. In the past 2 years, I've used these Twitter handles. I initially found Miss Paulson on Facebook in late 2019, wherein my account expressly stated, I'm a resident of the city of whatever, Washington. Miss Paulson and I were officially Facebook friends through our personal Facebook account. I was a paying member of Katie Joy Paulson's Without a Crystal Ball YouTube channel from approximately January 2020 through August of 2020. As a member of the Without a Crystal Ball channel, I paid $3.99 a month, not including tax. During the time period I was a paid member of Miss Paulson's channel from Washington, Ms. Paulson published numerous videos and other content maligning the plaintiffs in this case. Well, you threw me under the bus. I'm throwing you under the bus. I recognize it for the malignment. It always was fantastic.
This is a woman scorned right here. This is a woman scorned.
No, we're off to a really hot, promising start here. We're only paragraph 5 of this, and we're already off to a good start. Throughout large periods of 2020, I was communicating with Ms. Paulson on Twitter on an extremely frequent basis. This is basically what I said we're going to see, right? Social media multiple times a week, blah, blah. But this is basically what I knew was coming. Before I even document, I could see this coming. It's like, yeah. On an extremely frequent basis and otherwise not less than several times a week. I also communicated with Ms. Paulson via email and direct messages. I was not only a staunch supporter of Katie Joy Paulson and her Without a Crystal Ball YouTube channel. Love it. I also developed a reputation of being a fierce protector. Fierce. Katie Joy would brag about me being one of her ride or dies. Instead of anyone came after her, she knew that I, as one of her ride or dies, would shut them down. The drama. Blue is a correct and copy of the screenshot from Twitter of a conversation I had with Miss Paulson. We're in.
Oh my God.
Statement.
What statement?
Lorianne says, "Yep, she's been dealing with it for a long time. I don't know how she does it either, but you can tell that they're not okay. Pre-said lies they live in. Without a crystal ball says, I ignore them because I know my ride or dies will always shut them down."
Well, hold on.
She was a ride or die, and now she's not a friend at all. So
I gotta say, hold on.
Presumably, are not a friend at all.
We gotta go back to that tweet. Only reason why I gotta go back to that tweet for one thing: context matters.
Sure.
She says, "I ignore them because I know my ride or dies with an S will always shut them down." Now, I will say this: is that the name she calls her little group? You know, like I call my guys the Brody's Bunch. Is she calling her the ride or die?
Part of her membership, no. She has a different name for him as part of the membership group.
Well, no, my membership group isn't called the Brody's Bunch. That's my little name for my group. Like she calls her the law nerds and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that could just be her fans. You know, these are my ride or dies. I don't know. I'm just asking. What do you think? I'm playing defense attorney here.
Well, I mean, if I'm playing defense attorney, then of course it is. But in reality,
all right, let's see it, Lorianne. We got a first screenshot.
Yeah. As further example of defendants expressly using me as their bulldog to go after Miss Paulson's detractors and competitors that would speak negatively about defendants. In or about July of 2020, defendants found themselves to be the focus of significant negative attention when defendants falsely published, mind you, that a very large YouTube creator was being investigated by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department for potential sex-related crimes involving children. Okay. Apparently, there was never such an investigation. Well, that's bad. You shouldn't make stuff up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As such, Ms. Paulson publicly stated to another one defendant's bulldogs, there was nothing to worry about with regard to the negative attention defendants were receiving because you and Laurie will be on the hunt. A true and correct copy of the screenshot of said conversation from July 7, 2020 I had is obtained below. From a real housewife replying to, without a crystal ball official. Excuse me while I'm enjoying more of my bourbon.
Yeah.
I saw Sanders Kennedy video first. I don't understand why everyone is coming after you when they didn't release the information. It looks like they're all ready to take you down. I'm suspicious. Muy suspicio. And without a crystal ball says, don't worry. You and Laurie will be on the hunt. That would be Lorianne.
Yeah, so this is...
So maybe that implies the ride or die is a selective group.
A selective group. All right. So, but again, Lorianne was a ride or die. Let me just be clear. I'm playing defense attorney here. Lorianne was a ride or die for Katie. They were ride or die. That was a, you know, if we robbing a bank together, Lorianne is the getaway driver. She was ride or die with Katie. I'm playing defense attorney. This doesn't convince me they was ride or die, but we're getting a ride or die ish. This is ride or die ish. This is a ride or die for show. This is ride or die ish.
Are you my ride or die, Nate?
Ish.
That's the answer I was looking for. So good job. I reviewed Ms. Paulson's supplemental declaration in support of her motion to dismiss. At paragraph 6, she states that I've been in contact over social media with me on only a few occasions. Just a few.
What's a few mean?
The word few is open to so many interpretations. That's right. Word. It's infinitely elastic.
Few.
This is false. It's also false that she did not know I was a resident of Washington. We were Facebook friends, and my state of residence was displayed on my profile, which I'm sure Katie Joy just ignored.
But I ignore that sometimes too, though. That's.
Yeah, just because it's on the profile doesn't mean that she knew, but whatever, it's fine. In addition, there have been instances over the course of my communication where I specifically stated that I lived in Washington. Well, that might be more promising.
But that's good. Yeah, that's good.
On several occasions, Ms. Paulson asked me to do certain specific things for the defendants, such as mass flagging of content on other detractors and competitors' YouTube channels.
Woo!
Oh my God, we're off there flagging people so that we don't get
mass flagging people. Yeah. Go ahead, hit it up.
Defendants would ask me and others to help mass flag competitors' YouTube channel make negative comments about defendants in order to have their platform demonetized or taken away. Dun, dun, dun. Sometimes the orders. Now, I do like this little note here. I like this word choice. So we're interpreting this as an order. I was commanded by the hierarchy to do this as an agent, basically. So basically, I'm an agent now for Katie Joy. I like that word choice. Nice job.
Yeah, nice
job. Sometimes
the
orders to mass flag someone else's channel or content were made by Miss Paulson publicly. And sometimes the order, again, was sent by Miss Paulson to me in private messages on Twitter. So that's how much we were in communication. She communicated to me directly. One such account I was told to flag was Lil Red.
Lil Red made the lawsuit. I know Lil Red.
Lil Red is part of this thing. Lil Red is part of the tea. I hope you enjoy Red Tea because that's what you're getting.
Lil Red is in there.
Yeah, a YouTube creator and competitor of defendants who was publishing negative comments regarding Ms. Paulson. On one occasion, I received a private message from Ms. Paulson instructing me to also flag a YouTube creator and competitor of YouTube channel named Cheryl's World.
Oh, I know Cheryl's World too.
And then she says the keywords that we were alluding to. We've been alluding to this all the time. She says the keywords as her agent.
As her agent. Well, just to be clear too, I don't know them like personally, but I know of those channels. Little Red's channel. I've seen her. I've seen some stuff from her, and obviously Cheryl's World because I know Katie had beef with them. Damn.
No, that's
false
great.
Flag. False. She's throwing it, but now she says she got screenshots. I need to see screenshots of this. She says she got them. I'm assuming she got screenshots.
Hold your horses. We'll get there. It's all fine.
She better have me some screenshots. I don't want to be
discovery. Like
she's teasing me to death right now.
Roma, you got to enjoy every part of this amuse bouche. It's important. As her agent, I followed her directions as requested and reported the channels to YouTube for having inappropriate content. Defendants would also use me as their keyword agent to perform other tasks, such as deliver messages to other people on Twitter that defendants had blocked. Nice. So circumventing Twitter's rules, that's a good one. Below is a true and correct copy of the screenshot that Nate desperately wants to see of a Twitter conversation which Ms. Paulson gave me an instruction to perform on behalf. So this is where she instructed me as an agent. This should be good.
Oh my God.
So tasty. Just get in the aroma, man. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. So let's see this super chat. From unknown person. Do you blame her? Send me your pic so I can blow it up and pick you apart. Let me judge your parenting, your marriage. A person can only take so much. Her guard is up, but it's coming down. And without a crystal ball, says, let her know this is why she's blocked, because I know she's trolling.
Hold on.
That sounds agency.
What is this? Read this again. Do you blame her? I don't get this one.
It doesn't really matter because the really interesting part of this tweet is the response. Let her know this is why she's blocked. I want you to be my agent and go forth and to communicate this.
Well, it's just no, because but I don't know, because this is, let's say if I block you, I'm not able to contact you and I don't want to unblock you. So if somebody's saying, do you blame her or something like that, then I'll say, just let her know that she's blocked, because I don't know. This is a little do you know what I mean? If I don't see the agency here. I don't see agency like she's up above. She was speaking like real agency. Go and mass flag this person and do this. That is not this.
No, I mean I agree with you. That's a little thin, all things considered. I agree with you. It's a little things, all things considered. But that being said, I mean I don't blame Salts for trying to claim that. I mean he's pushing it, but
yeah, but he built it up. He built it up about she said go do these bad things to YouTubers, mass flag them, false report them, and this is the proof. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, Yanni, I agree with you completely. I mean, we had to see this coming. The moment that KJ said she's not my bestie, she's not even a friend at all. I mean, you had to see this coming. I mean, she's gonna want revenge. She's gonna want it. I mean, this is predictable. It's completely predictable. And even what's in it is predictable to some degree. And basically, I'm along the lines that I predicted. I mean, it was very vague, but still, I mean, this is what I was predicting. It's going to be, here's all the times we communicated. Here's all our special communications to show we had a deep, abiding relationship. And she's basically lying. So, I mean, that's what it's going to be. I mean, I knew that before I ever read a word.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
I understand why this is reading for, and it does. This reads beautifully though, because they're really telling the story. But
yeah,
but this receipt didn't purchase what you sold us above.
I agree with you. It is a bit of a push to try to defend what came before. I agree. This is not quite in the category of what we were looking for, but it's a push.
It's something. It's something.
It's pushing what's there. I agree. That's fine. I agree with you. Each and every time I was asked to do something or did something on behalf of, or for, or at the request of defendants, I was physically located in Washington jurisdiction. Again, this is a fact I did not hide from defendants. And the best of my recollection, I frequently disclosed to defendants I lived in Washington. In August of 2020, I began to disagree with the toxic environment Ms. Paulson was creating with her content. As such, I began to distance myself from defendant's agent, from being their agent that would do for the defendant's bidding and defending, and I canceled my pay membership to the defendant's YouTube channel. How sad. She canceled her membership. Ms. Paulson was disappointed in the separation and said she adores me no matter what happens. Well, that adoration apparently was extremely limited in scope. It is my understanding that this statement establishes the connection that I had with the defendant in general and Ms. Paulson in particular was far more significant than what Ms. Paulson represented in her declaration to the court. Below would be a screenshot of that. Katie Joy says, Lori, I adore you. I mean, for a person, she says, I don't consider her friend at all. Yeah. I adore you. You know that. That doesn't change. Apparently, it changes rapidly. Though I canceled my membership, I still remain friendly with Ms. Paulson after the lawsuit was filed in October 2020. As such, as a result of my continued friendship with Ms. Paulson and my prior reputation of being a staunch protector, bulldog, of Ms. Paulson, I started to receive messages from people on Twitter who were trying to discredit me. In their efforts to discredit me on or about November the 5th, people stated that not only had I lived in the state of Washington, but because I previously made it generally known I previously worked for the government, that was a person publicly listed on the internet as Laura Ann Barnhart that worked for the Department of Transportation. Although that person on the website for the Washington Department of Transportation has the exact same name as me and is a government employee of me, that's not me. So apparently there are two people with the same name who work for the Department of Transportation in Washington. Noted. However, I did publicly correct these people on Twitter who published the information on or about November the 5th as 2020 as if it were fact and otherwise allowed them to continue to believe I worked for the Department of Transportation. Instead, I'm a retired administrator for a federal agency. Okay, so she never worked for the Department of Transportation at all. So the person under Department of Transportation isn't her. Just has the same name. Which, I understand. There are a few people with the same name as me.
Yeah.
So it does happen. I understand. As such, I take responsibility for my part in allowing this misunderstanding to be accepted as fact, and for that, I apologize. Below is a true and correct copy of the screenshot I obtained and republished on my Twitter page, showing other people that Twitter were misstating as fact I was the same Laura Ann Barnhart that worked for the Department of Transportation. She has the exact same name, I guess. Yeah. And then some person says professionals aren't on Twitter law. Well, Miss Barnhart is supposed to be a professional herself. She's an employee of the Washington Department of Transportation, which is a government agency, and yet she's conducting herself like a child. So just as a bit of an aside for the point of legal education, government employees are entitled to have lives outside their employment. So as long, generally speaking, it depends on the specific context. But generally speaking, as long as they're not representing themselves to be a federal employee, as long as they're not attempting to speak in any way for the agency they work for, they can have opinions otherwise. So
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
although it's apparently not true, she could be a Department of Transportation employee and also be this person in real life. It doesn't. Her personal life is irrelevant to her professional life. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the only time it does spill over is if you commit some type of crime or something like that. But Lori hasn't done anything like that. I'm assuming so.
Yeah. So as long as you keep your agency or employer out of it, as long as you don't mention that stuff, it should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Throughout 2020, I communicate with Ms. Paulson through email, social media, direct messages, and live chats. As stated above, and while I was a paying member, we regularly communicated multiple times a week. We were, in fact, besties.
Same thing you were saying?
I'm sorry?
No, I said the same thing you were saying before.
Yeah, this is exactly what you'd predict before reading it. This is what else could the declaration be but that?
Yeah.
So without even reading it, you knew this is where it's going to go. Because that's exactly what you predict. In fact, Ms. Paulson and I were Facebook friends, wherein my account was expressly stated that I'm a resident of whatever county in Washington. How the hell do you pronounce that? Washington. Whatever. I share some of my intimate secrets via email with Ms. Paulson, including personal information about mental health, which is something I not would have done with a person who was a mere acquaintance. Well, she disagrees. Good. Apparently, she would. She thinks that you're mere. She's not nothing special. On December the 2nd of 2020, after defendants filed the motion to dismiss, Ms. Paulson became distant, and it appeared to me that Ms. Paulson was attempting to minimize our connection.
Oh my God!
I saw the signs. I have reviewed Ms. Paulson's declaration that she filed along with the motion to dismiss, and paragraph 6 of her declaration appears to be false. Specifically, perhaps we were not best friends, as she stated we were in her Jane 9th video, but we're significantly closer than the average fan or paid member. Yeah, this is where T enters the equation. This is especially so, given that she had reached out to me in the state of Washington to perform tasks on defendants' behalf, such as flag other competitors' YouTube accounts and publicly endorse me as being her bulldog.
We heard this is the second time we're hearing this. Then this is repeating it, huh?
It's, what else do you want? Lawsuits are repetitive sometimes. Ms. Paulson knew she had subscribers and paying members, including me, in the great state of Washington. I began to see Ms. Paulson's propensity for dishonesty, while at the same time observing that she was creating distance for what I can only imagine was to conceal a close relationship between a member subscriber from the state of Washington and falsely inform the court she's unaware of any such connection.
Oh, no.
It's like, this is for...
Yeah.
Lorianne is bringing the tea. She's bringing the tea hardcore, man.
This is a woman scorned. That's what this is. This is a
woman scorned. This is pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah.
Show the court on the doll where your feelings were.
Yeah.
I have reviewed the defendant's declaration of Kim Fulmer and Michael Saltz, filed in support of the plaintiff's opposition for defendant's motion to dismiss. I can hereby certify that, except for the statement in paragraph 10 of Kim Fulmer's declaration regarding me working at the Department of Transportation, the statements in the declaration appear to be accurate. That said, I have done and said many things in my past. I'm sorry for ever being a KJ stan. It was my fault. And I previously contacted Ms. Palmer to make amends. And Ms. Palmer publicly accepted my apology. The criminal charges referenced in the declaration were ultimately dismissed, pursuant to an agreement I made with the prosecutors. Aside from the events surrounding the incident discussed in the complaint, I have no criminal record. I am profoundly sorry to Ms. Fulmer and to anyone else for anything they may have perceived that I posted as a threat to their safety.
Damn.
We're trying to undo a little damage here. I've already apologized to her and other creators for my actions. Below is a true and correct copy of the screenshot of a tweet from the account showing that I tried to apologize, which were perceived as threat. And then say, thank you for your apology last night.
Oh.
Excellent.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend now.
The enemy of my enemy is indeed my friend. When will you be the enemy of my enemy, Nate? Hopefully never.
Enemy of my enemy.
Shortly after reading the declaration of Kim Fulmer that contained the wrong information about my employment, I was concerned that the person who was not me was going to be contacted as a witness in the lawsuit. Reasonable. I therefore contacted Ms. Paulson through Twitter, direct messages, on or about December the 24th. On or about is just lawyer language for days. Even if you knew the exact date, you'd just write on or about. It's just a saving move.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case, and informed her of my concerns. Ms. Paulson informed me that she's not able to speak about the case. I then responded it was my intention to call the plaintiff's attorney and notify them about the issue and see if they could do anything to correct it. Ms. Paulson told me expressly not to contact plaintiff's counsel, but to contact her attorney, Michael Brown, instead, which I don't necessarily have any particular objection to. I mean, it's fine. Why don't you contact my attorney and advise them of the problem? I don't have any particular problem with that. Do you have any particular problem with that?
No, that makes sense. I think it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Don't contact the opposing counsel. Contact my attorney and let them know about the issue so they can deal with it. That seems
makes
fine.
Sense. Yeah.
Anyway, it's what you'd expect. She wants to contact the attorney, and the attorney has the same duty anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's a practical matter, but it makes total sense.
It makes sense.
From the very first interaction I had with Mr. Brown, I feel like he was being misleading. He led me to believe plaintiff's father opposition right before Christmas to intentionally mess with me, and not because it was a court-imposed deadline.
What?
The plaintiff's father opposition right before Christmas to mess with you. I can believe that Mr. Brown said something like that, but it probably isn't what she's representing. Like, it's probably like, yeah, they're also kind of messing with you, but it's not. I mean, I don't have any objection to what Mr. Brown said off the cuff.
If this is it, yeah.
On December 30th, Mr. Brown informed me that plaintiff's counsel was planning to subpoena my Twitter account, which caused me concern. He stated they think there may be evidence about your connection to Katie. I did not disclose you and I are in touch. Saltz even complained to me that you threatened him via DM, which, getting copy of their Twitter to show their interaction would be a reasonably prudent legal move for Saltz. This is a ride or die fan, show how much they had interaction to show jurisdiction. Now, this is a personal opinion, but even if all that's true, and again, this goes to questions about jurisdiction, but even if all that's true, I don't think it still shows jurisdiction in Washington, because she had a person in Washington, but it's kind of by hamper stance. It's just like she happened to be in Washington as opposed to me targeting Washington.
That's true.
So for me, it doesn't really do anything about personal jurisdiction, but that's my opinion. I understand completely why Saltz is doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to show that she's specifically targeting, she was aware she had subscribers. My response is still the same as I had before. My response is, yeah, I mean, I had ride or die fans everywhere because apparently I had lots of them. She happened to be in Washington, but that's by chance. Yeah, it's not targeting, so it doesn't really do anything for me personally, but that's me. But the court will perceive it.
But I think you also, but the full rule is that you purposely availed yourself to both the rights and liberties and stuff, the protection of state law. For instance, if you got a license to open up a business in the state, that's purposeful availment. But this kind of happenstance that, just because somebody happened to live in Washington and was a fan of yours, that's not purposeful availment. And then that's
my thought.
Yeah. And then I also think too, is that you also have, these are factors too, like I mentioned to you before. And so when you're talking about factors, we're also talking about whether it's fair, because that's also a factor, whether it's fair that this interaction would allow a court to hold this defendant into a Washington court. With the limiting factor here, because that, if you just use that, Alaska now has personal jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's my problem with it.
Yeah, and the concept of personal jurisdiction goes away. All 50 states and every territory now has jurisdiction if you have a fan that watches a show from there. So that's where I think that this principle of fairness to the defendant may be enough to overcome personal jurisdiction in this particular instance.
Yeah, so far, and the chat seems to be very excited because apparently we're getting to the good stuff about now. But so far, I'm still where I were. We had subscribers in Washington, what of it? Yeah, we had viewers in Washington, what of it? Yeah, we had ride or die fans in Washington, what of it? We weren't targeting Washington, They just happen to be from there. We put ourselves out for global consumption. If this were true, we'd be subject to jurisdiction everywhere. It can't possibly be true. So far, I'm kind of where I am, but the chat thinks I'm getting to the good stuff. So let's figure out getting to the good stuff.
It's funny because I know Lorianne one time sent me I think was it a tweet or a DM or something like that, and I know she was pretty, kind of crazy, not crazy, but she was kind of concerned. But she always seemed nice to me. I actually thought Lorianne is cool, and I still think she is cool.
The chat wants me to keep reading, so we'll keep.
Go ahead.
See if things change. The chat is very insistent. All right. Mr. Brown thereafter sought me to have sign a declaration on behalf of defendants that I did nothing more than attack and malign plaintiff's counsel, which I thought to be inappropriate, and ultimately they did not do so. Well, fair enough. If you thought the declaration didn't represent reality, you shouldn't sign it. Good for you.
Good job.
The declaration is ultimately yours. It's completely typical to be crafted by an attorney. But if it doesn't represent your views, you shouldn't sign it. Good job for you. By way of example, Mr. Brown, in an email dated whatever, tried to encourage me to file state bar complaints against one of plaintiff's attorneys. Really?
What?
And otherwise suggest I should perceive plaintiff's counsel. Private attempts to obtain information from me as a threat. What? That doesn't make sense. Why would that be a threat? The fact is, plaintiff's counsel attempted to communicate with me privately to informally obtain information containing no threats. I mean, fair enough. He's trying to basically do discovery informally, and he has every right to do discovery informally. So he's contacting you for information that he could presumably get through discovery. He's trying to do it in an informal way. So, fine, no problem. I see no objection to this. It's not a threat. It's fine. Mr. Brown stated that he would assist me in filing of a declaration on my behalf in this case. On January 6th, 2021, at 6:18, we're being very precise about this. Mr. Brown sent me an email stating that he made a signature page separate from the rest of the declaration so he can make changes. Ooh, no. Oh, my God. No. Oh, no. Don't ever do this. No. Big red flag. Big red flag. No, sign the declaration page separately so I can make it. Oh, no. No, don't ever do this. Oh, my God. I was uncomfortable signing an unfinished declaration. Yes, you well should be. Holy shit.
Oh, so hold on. He sent her an unfinished declaration to sign?
No. What she's saying is he sent me an unfinished declaration with the signature page separately. So I could sign it and he could make changes.
Oh, no. All right. No. You got to send the whole thing. And then they can send you back the signature page, but the whole thing is you can't.
No. No, that's a big no.
Wow.
I was uncomfortable signing an unfinished declaration. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, you shouldn't sign an unfinished declaration.
Potentially be altered. Mr. Brown also informed me that plaintiff's counsel was going to serve me with a subpoena to preserve my account I had deleted. Yeah, and that's fine, sure.
Well,
and provide plaintiffs with access to any remaining communication I had with Ms. Paulson. I stated I was going to go to legal aid to get legal assistance with respect to their subpoena. Fair enough. Seek an attorney, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat.
Wow.
On January 8th, 2021, I informed Mr. Brown I was willing to turn my accounts to plaintiff's counsel in order to resolve the issue.
Okay.
Fair enough. Mr. Brown suggested to me that I should object to the subpoena for purpose of delaying my response, which is well within his purview to do. He has the right to say you should object. It's to his client's benefit. He's not doing anything wrong here. I can't object. I can't dispute this, which upset me because I didn't want to delay my exit from the case. Yeah, you don't have to listen to him, but what he's doing at this point is right. Where he said, please sign this separate page so I can make changes. That's the part where I'm like, no.
Yeah, that part is wrong. So he did that, but that just sounds so strange because why wouldn't he just send her the whole document?
Yeah, no.
The finished document. It doesn't make sense.
He wanted to make edits. Minor changes, mind you.
But you can't do that if she's signing a declaration.
I know.
It makes no sense. But, well, I'm thinking what I'm thinking is that he's saying here's the declaration. If it's good, send me back the signature page. If it's not good, then I'll send you another one. Maybe maybe that's the excuse, but it just doesn't make sense for him to say he just sign a blank document and I'll make changes to it. That of course you can't do that. No. That's unethical.
That's not good. And apparently the chat is very insistent. I read the footnote.
Go ahead.
I'm willing to provide emails I've exchanged with Mr. Brown in this court for private review. if necessary. However, as Mr. Brown has indicated, he would represent me. I do not wish to make these emails public, which, good for her because attorney-client privilege. Fair enough. In addition, said emails contain private information about my mental health I disclosed to Mr. Brown. The emails have been provided to plaintiff's counsel or given to court upon request. So she's just insisting on privacy and privilege. If that's right, Mr. Brown has indicated intent to represent her. She would be entitled to attorney-client privilege as a result of that. So,
but the privilege is hers, not his.
Yeah, it's hers. She's insisting on it, and no objection to that.
Yeah, she can assist. So it would, yeah, because I don't think, but it's privilege. Is privilege attached? Well, it was consultation for legal. Yeah. I can see it.
Mr. Brown stated in an email to me, January 10th of 2021 at 6:13. I'm not sure why you're being this precise about it, but okay.
So in other words, if she's saying they had privilege, she's violating the privilege now because now it's third-party communication. But she can do that. She can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's her privilege or not.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to file something tomorrow that addresses what they did to you, but does not require you to file any statement if you don't want to. I want the court to know what he's doing to harass you. I can't guarantee the judge will do anything about it, but I want to try. His behavior is disgusting. Who are we referring to at this point?
It's Salty.
Presumably. Salty? Really? We're talking about Salty at this point?
I think they're talking about Salty, yeah.
Really? That seems a little.
It sounds like they're talking about Salty to write a complaint about Salty's harassment of Lori.
Just because the clients hate each other doesn't require the lawyers to hate each other. Show a little respect for the other lawyer.
Yeah.
I recommend you sit tight, accept service at the come to your door, and then we can take it from there. You're not in any trouble. Such statement confirmed to me that I was apparently a client, Mr. Brown. That would be a fair understanding. And I understood a statement to mean that he's inserting himself into my situation to have to respond to a subpoena. That would be a fair understanding of what that means. That's reasonable.
That would be fair, yeah.
Although, on January 11th, 2021, Mr. Brown thereafter offered to represent me at no charge. In responding to the subpoena, stating, "You don't need to spend money or hire a lawyer to respond to the subpoena or file a declaration. I'll stand for you if I file a declaration if you let me. It costs you nothing." Which is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, perfectly reasonable. I mean, he's trying to service his clients, and this would be in service to his client. And so he wants to bring you aboard for the purpose of serving his primary client. So again, I see no objection to what Mr. Brown is trying here. This is perfectly within the bounds of legal practice. The statement may be very suspicious of Mr. Brown's motives, as my understanding to be truthful and honest response to subpoena would not be in defendant's best interest, but otherwise in mine. Yeah, he's trying to curtail the damage, which is exactly what he's supposed to do. Right? He's supposed to do that. He's trying to represent his client and trying to mitigate the damage. So he would ideally like to write whatever's going to be written as favorably as possible under the facts. So I can't blame him. Specifically, I'm not comfortable with having Mr. Brown controlling the production of my documents and or other evidence that would likely be detrimental to defendant's pending motion attacking jurisdiction. Only defendants. I mean, she doesn't have to be comfortable. So her opinion, her response is perfectly reasonable. So at this, other than the please sign this, and I'll send you the rest later, which I big X no. But other than that, I have no objection to what is happening. This is perfectly fine.
Everything looks fine.
I did not feel comfortable with Mr. Brown's offer of representation. Someone asked, is it a conflict of interest? Not necessarily.
No, not really.
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be a conflict of interest. They can be the same interest or not. I mean, she's not even a party, so there's no obvious conflict. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, if Brown had a conflict, Saltz would have a conflict for the same reason. So it's no obvious conflict of interest. I didn't feel comfortable with Mr. Brown's offer of representation and stated intent to file objections solely for the purpose of delaying the subpoena. I also did not feel comfortable that Mr. Brown proceeded to give me legal advice in this case regarding how to respond to discovery and what I should say and start state bar complaints. I do take a bit of exception to the extent that Brown is saying filing complaints against Saltz.
That makes no sense. That's kind of low.
That's a big move, and it's completely unwarranted in my view.
Yeah.
It's totally unnecessary. I was concerned there would be conflict of interest in representing me and Miss Paulson because the information I'd be providing would contradict the statements Miss Paulson made in her declaration.
That would be a conflict of interest. That would be a COI.
Yeah, that's why it's trying to mitigate the harm. And no statement prior to giving me legal advice did Mr. Brown advise me of any potential actual conflicts of interest with regard to representation. It's not obvious that there are any. to be honest.
No, but you should advise someone if you're trying to represent them of any conflict of interest, or if possible, to come up. And then hopefully, you'd ask them what she's going to say. If she says, well, Katie J lied about this particular thing, then I think that rings the bell of, okay, well, I might not be able to represent you. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. I also want to make sure that everyone knew the person with my name working at the Washington Department of Transportation was not me after the declaration of Kim Fulmer was filed. I wholeheartedly did not expect defendants counsel would attempt to use me so blatantly in a pawn in an appropriate way. Well, except for some points which we've already highlighted, yeah. I don't personally agree that defendants counsel was attempting to use her in an inappropriate way. He's attempting to represent his client as best he can, and he'd like to put the declaration in as favorable language as possible. He'd like to control it. It's within his province. Now, the fact that you responded the way you did is perfectly understandable. So I'm not blaming I'm not blaming anybody. So at this point, I don't have any problem with this. I mean, except for the things we highlighted already.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring the bar complaint because I think that's a dick move. I think it's a dick move to bring a bar complaint against another lawyer unless you have to. And I definitely would not send the person a signature page separate and say, I'll just fill in the details later. That's a dick move.
Yeah.
Other than those two things, I'm perfectly fine with this as the attorney.
I think the conflict of interest thing is real, only to the extent of what did this lawyer know? Because at the point, if this is supposed to be her BFF, and I'm getting you just to write a declaration, that's not representing you. Then if we go into representation, now there's some more questions that have to be asked, what's happening. And if she tells you that, yes, I'm going to say Katie wasn't truthful with this particular thing, then I think your conflict of interest starts going up now. Like, okay, we got a problem.
Yeah, I do like this comment from chat from saying their reaction is so calm compared to Emily. I mean, that's part of the reason I love Emily, and part of the reason I think she loves us, for that matter. We have different reactions. We think differently. We react to things differently. So you shouldn't understand anything I say to begrudge Emily her reaction. It's her reaction, and she thinks about things differently. I look at this, I'm like, this is my reaction. So you come to us for our reaction to the T, such as it is. And I try to adjudicate things as fairly as I know how to do. And I'm like, this is my reaction for whatever it has value. So, I'm look forward to seeing what Emily said. I can kind of hear in her mind, hear in my mind how she reacts, because I've listened to enough of her content that I kind of can predict a little bit about how she'll react to things. And I'm like, yeah, I can kind of anticipate her reaction's going to be different than mine. So it's like, yeah.
The tea, baby. The tea. This is strong tea, though.
I mean, there's a lot of shade in this. So Emily will probably highlight the shade for sure. There's a lot of shade tea in this. So Emily probably will more highlight this. To me, it's like, I'm fine with this. It's
yeah, like you know what though? It's like, to me, there's a lot of pain here, a lot of, two things. Number one, I hear all the buzzwords, right? I'm a resident of thing. This happened in Washington. Like, they're trying to just make this, she's Miss Washington here. And then the whole, agent thing, I'm an agent. She told me to do this. I'm an agent. Yeah. So what they're trying to do, this is written. You can tell this is written by a lawyer because it's trying to also weave a legal narrative.
Going to 18 is a stretch. It's within the bounds, but it's a stretch. I would do the same thing as a lawyer. It's a stretch. I know it's a stretch. It's within the bounds of what a lawyer would do, but I understand that.
But and also too, I think a reasonable attorney would also want to keep some credibility, because the reason why you can't just throw out stretch arguments, because you got to keep credibility with the judge.
Right, that's a contrary factor, right? You always have to be worried about your credibility, and if you stretch things, it could be a problem for your credibility at the end. So it's a reasonable factor, yeah, for sure. I didn't feel comfortable with Mr. Brown wanting me to file a declaration saying I was threatened by Mr. Saltz when he didn't threaten me. I mean, if he didn't threaten you, fair enough. Nor have I ever told Mr. Brown that Saltz had threatened me. Specifically, Mr. Brown stated, we are filing something today to address the Saltz threat Saltz made at you. It'd be great if you state that you took it as threatened and felt intimidated. Well, I'm sure that would be great, but he should have some basis for thinking it's a threat. I mean, to be able to make that argument. Now, I'm not sure why Mr. Brown perceived it as a threat or not, but she didn't perceive it as a threat. So, okay. I mean, fair enough. Based on the overall impression that Mr. Brown left with me during my interactions, during the past few weeks, I cut off all communication with defendants and defense attorney. Fair? To be certain, I was shocked and horrified. Defendants and their attorneys, who apparently supposed to be looking out for me, for my best interests, especially since they were representing me in this matter, ignored my express request to speedily take action to correct the record to the false attribution of employment, which is my fault. Instead, hide the error from plaintiffs for their tactical advantage. Which, I completely understand why they were trying to do that, and fair enough. Despite that, Mr. Brown knew of the error since December 24th. Defendants and defendants counsel have apparently done nothing to inform plaintiffs' counsel to correct the error, which is expressly against my wishes. Which, she's the client, apparently, so she's able to say what I want you to do. Now, he's trying to balance that against another client, and I understand what the position he's in, but I understand her complaint too.
Yeah.
I therefore reached out to plaintiffs' complaint counsel by telephone for the first time, January the 12th, which is yesterday, to give them foregoing information for purpose of setting the record straight, inform them of this, and declare this to be true under the penalty of perjury. So this is kind of what I expected it to be, except for I anticipated the parts dealing with her and her relationship to KJ. So I anticipated that. What I didn't anticipate with the parts that were dealing with the relationship to Michael Brown.
Yeah.
And so there's some things in here that strike me as proper, and some things that strike me as improper. What strikes me as particularly improper are, please sign the signature page so I can make edits later. No. That's a massive red flag for me. If that happened, that's a massive red flag for me. Sign this page so I can do it separately. No. And also, just as a personal matter, this is slightly more personal than the just big X no, than all the X's in the world. Don't do this. Let's file a bar complaint against the other lawyer in this case. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. The clients might hate each other. That's their problem. I don't have to hate the other side. And it's also to my advantage to be able to work with the other attorney on the other side, because there are going to be times we need to work together. You're going to need a favor, or I'm going to need a favor. It's going to play both ways. I'm going to need to extend something. You're going to need to extend something. You're going to need to do whatever. It's so you can reschedule something or whatever. It's to our benefit and to our client's benefit to have a good relationship between the attorneys.
That's true.
I very much dislike this idea of throwing the other attorney under the bus, unless you really have to, unless you really think it's there. And this does not strike me as fair. It's not there.
It's not.
And so it's completely unnecessary, and I don't like that at all.
So was that it for the tea?
That was all the tea. It's 14 pages, man. All the tea. I know.
I don't know. I'm kind of not impressed with the tea. I think my reaction is it's good tea. It is very good tea. I'm not going to pretend like it's not good tea.
Good tea.
The plus sides about the tea is to see the reaction, to see the Lorianne kind of go on this whole way. I'm happy Lorianne's now become, she's kind of freed herself from all this. And hey, speaking the truth is always a good thing. The bad things about this is that I feel like, I went to the store and picked up Gucci, and it gave me receipts for Kohl's. You know what I'm saying? It's receipts. We got receipts, but the receipts didn't really match the products that we were kind of given at the beginning. Yeah. But the receipts were still receipts. At the end of the day, is this really going to turn anything about personal jurisdiction? No, because it still comes down to, you were a fan. You were one of many subs in Washington. But if we were to go with this jurisdictional argument, so was the person in Alaska, so was the person in Hawaii, so was the person in Guam. You know what I'm saying? That personal that it eviscerates personal jurisdiction. So I just want to see how the court parses this, because we're talking about something that's a matter of law, not as a matter of a fact for a jury to decide. So we'll see.
No, I completely agree with all that. I think when it comes to the jurisdiction argument, I still think the best argument is just as undifferentiated. And so the best position is kind of where the KJ wound up in her last filing. It's like, it's undifferentiated. Yeah, I had subscribers in Washington. Yeah, I had viewers. Yeah, I had a Ride or Die fan. But I didn't really do anything to target them in particular. I even knew about it. What the hell? It doesn't matter. It's just one. It's just one among many. And I was just had subscribers and Ride or Dies from ever, which I treat like shit anyway. So it's like it's irrelevant to me. It's like, yeah, you're a Ride or Die fan. You know, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, sure you are. So that's how I treat it. And I think that's the best response. And that's kind of where they wound up. Last response. So this does nothing to change my approach. If I'm Kaysler, it does nothing to change my approach.
No.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, fine. That's all fine. Yeah, sure. That all happened. Great. I don't care.
Of course, still we have jurisdiction.
I just deal with it back where I am. It doesn't change my approach if I'm Kaysler. So that's how I feel about it. And I look forward to seeing what Emily said about it because apparently she had much more interesting and intense reactions, which should be fun.
Yeah, but I maybe there's something in here we missed because Emily really goes to the deep dive. But from what I'm seeing,
Emily finds the tea. She highlights the tea. She likes the tea. She highlights the shade. So maybe, she found. I mean, I found the shade. I just didn't really care. It's like, yeah, it's like whatever. And she's like, "Oh, this is the." I know how Emily reacts to things. It's like I know how she reacts. I see her enough times to know what she thinks. I'm like, yeah, I have no objection to the way she thinks. She's a different person than me. It's totally okay. It's fine. It's just like, yeah, we can react to different things. Basically, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of it's fine.
Yeah, this is
like, oh my god, I know Emily does stuff. It's fine. It's great. I love Emily. She's awesome.
Well, listen, it seems like that's it for us. Then right now we're done, huh?
Yeah, we're done, man. This has been an awesome stream.
Oh my god,
thank you for joining me. It's my birthday. Party like it's my birthday because it's actually my birthday. No, I've really been enjoying this. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
always, man. It's been great.
This has been a good stream. This has been definitely good. We had so much to talk about tonight. So
awesome. If you don't already know my guest, Nate the Lawyer, you should go to his YouTube channel this way. You should go to his YouTube channel this way. He's awesome. He's a New York lawyer. He does some great stuff. He has a different style than me. He's a lot of fun. I enjoy him. He keeps me honest. That's always a plus. And I've been on civil law. If you're not already a member, why not? There's been a link that's been in the description for some time. If you clicked on that, you can become a member for 99 cents. And then, it would be great. You would become a member and it'd be awesome. Become a member today. Why not? Subscribe if you haven't already. Please like the stream. Why haven't you liked it already? Like it now.
Amen
right
that,
now.
Brother.
Hit that like button. Do
I
it.
just liked it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pens off. All right. So I'm gonna head off, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Later, guys.